introduction. So inside the introduction, I have data preprocessing folder. Click on data preprocessing. So inside data preprocessing, I have project 6, which is feature engineering by window method. Click on this file so that we can open it in our Google Colab environment. Okay, here I am in my project 6. Okay, so I need pandas and numpy for this project. So I am importing them. Let's run this cell to import them. And now it's time to create the data. So I am creating only 10 samples of a data between 1 and 5. So I am going to use a function np.linearSpace. It means I am going to create 10 linearly spaced samples between 1 and 5, and including both 1 and 5. This dot round one value will transform the data into the form where every data sample has only one digit after the decimal. Okay, let's run this cell and see the features. So we can see that we have features between 1 and 5, and we have total 10 features. And due to this round one, we can see that every sample has only one digit after the decimal place. That is 1.9, 2.3, 2.8, etc. Okay, now check the shape. We can see that we have only 10 samples in our feature. Similarly, we can generate the 10 labels between 0 and 10 using a function np.arrange. Here 10 will not be included, so our labels will be between 0 and 9. Let's see the shape. So we have 10 labels for the 10 features. Now it's time to transform those features into data frame. So we will use pd.dataframe. Here the columns will be x and y, and I am passing my feature and my label to these columns. Let's run this cell and see our data. So we can see that we have transformed our data into the data frames. So we can see we have only 10 samples for our features and we have 10 labels. Okay, now it's time to create new feature using window. So here I am going to select a window size of 2. So what does it mean by selecting a window size of 2? Whenever I select a window size of 2, what will happen? That when I apply window on my data set, since window size is 2, so every time it will select the 2 feature. So in the first iteration, it will select the first 2 samples, and from first 2 samples of the feature, it will calculate the new features. Then we will move our window one step ahead and select the next 2 sample and then calculate the new features. Similarly, we will move our window one step ahead and select the next 2 features. So every time we will move our window, we will select next 2 samples, and using those 2 samples, we will calculate the additional features. So that's why the window size is 2 here. Okay, so we are going to use a window size 2. Now I am extracting the value of x and y from this data frame, and I am calling them as a features and label. Okay, let's run this cell and we can see the features are the value of x. So what will happen when we will apply a window? First, these 2 sample will be selected because the window size is 2, and we will calculate the additional features using these 2 samples. Then these 2 samples will be selected and the additional features will be calculated. Then these 2 features will be selected. So every time we move our window ahead, we select 2 samples because the size of a window is 2, and from those 2 samples we will calculate the additional features. Okay, so what are the additional features? So these are the 4 additional features which I require. That is the minimum value of x, the maximum value of x, the mean of x, and the standard deviation of x. Now these are the 4 features. You can select any number of features. If you want 10 additional features, you can calculate 10 additional features. You can calculate any number of additional features. So for the simplicity, for the sake of understanding, I am selecting only these 4 features. Okay, now one important thing we have to remember. After the window size, after the window method, when we will have a new features, the length of the new feature will not be 10, but it will be 8. If you see, our original feature has length 10, that is, we have 10 samples in our original features. But the features created using window method will have length equals to 8, which is equals to the length of this feature minus 2. So the window size will be subtracted from the length of the data in the new feature. So we will have only 8 samples in the new feature because our window size is 2. Okay, therefore, we will also have to calculate new labels from the existing labels, because in existing we have 10 values of the labels, and in the new features we will have 8 labels. So what I am going to do here, I am going to use a for loop, and I will run this for loop 8 times. That is length of data, which is 10, minus window size, which is 2. Okay, here I am creating the empty list for those features. So every time this loop will be run, the new values of the features will be calculated and it will append to the empty list. Similarly, every time this loop will run, the new value of the label will be calculated or assigned, and it will be stored in the, or it will be append to this empty list of labels. So here I am calling it labels, and here it is label. If you remember, the original labels are called as label, and the label after window method will be called as labels. Okay, so I am going to run this for loop for 8 times, and I am calculating the new features. So the minimum value of the feature will be calculated with the help of numpy by using a function np.minx. The maximum value will be calculated by np.maxx, and then the mean value and the standard deviation will be calculated. Okay, so what happens when this loop will be run for the first time? So the first time I will be 0. When this I will be 0, at that time, what will be the value of this x? So basically, I am indexing these features with I is to I plus window size. So what will happen when I will be 0? So when I will be 0, so I will have 0 is to 0 plus 2. So I will have first 2 samples of the feature. Okay, let's see what are the 2 samples. If I is equals to 0 here, if I run this, so you can see first 2 samples will be selected. That is 1 and 1.4 will be selected. When these 2 samples will be selected, then from those 2 samples, we will calculate the minimum value, the maximum value, the mean of these 2 samples, and the standard deviation of these 2 samples. After calculating all these 4 values of the new feature, we will append this value to the empty list. Then the loop will move further and I will become 1. Okay, when I will become 1, in that case, what will happen? When I will become 1, then the next 2 features will be selected, 1.4 and 1.9. That is, these 2 features will be selected. When these 2 features will be selected, in that case, we will calculate the minimum, maximum, mean, and standard deviation again for these 2 features and append it to this list. So in this way, we will complete our for loop, and for every iteration of the for loop, we will calculate these features and append to the empty list. Now, what will happen with the labels? Okay, when I will be 0, in that case, the label assigned will be 2. Okay, what does this 2 means? So when I will be 0, that is when we are in the first iteration, then this label value will be assigned. That is 2. That is, we select these 2 samples, we calculate minimum, maximum, mean, and standard deviation. And to this calculation, we will give the value equals to 2. That is, we will assign the next label to those features. Okay, and what will happen when I will be 1? When I will be 1, in that case, the value of label will be 3. That is, the next label will be assigned. In the same way, the loop will be moving forward, and we will select 2 samples every time. We will calculate the additional features from those 2 samples, and we will assign a new label every time. Okay, now it's time to run this cell. Now we have run this cell, so that we can get the 8 values of this minimum. We will have 8 sample of this maximum value, the mean value, and the standard deviation. Now we want to see these features. So in order to see these features, I am creating a data frame from these features. So I have the column x minimum, I have the column x maximum, I have the column x mean, I have the column x standard deviation, and I have the column labels. So these are the new labels which will be assigned here. Okay, let's run this cell and now see our features. So first observation is that we have only 8 features in a new feature set. This is because of the window size is equals to 2. If we select window size is equals to 5, then we will have only 5 features in a new feature set. These are our 8 new minimum values. So if you see, the first minimum value is 1 and the last is 4.1. We will have, here we have 8 new maximum value, and similarly we have mean values, standard deviation, and we have 8 labels. So this is our new data set now. So the important thing to remember is that we had only one feature in the original data set, but our labels were 10. When we created new features using window method, now we have 4 more features, but our data samples have reduced to 8. So in this lecture, we learn how to create more features using window method. So we have selected the simplest possible method in order to make you understand how window method works. So I have created only 10 data samples. You can create thousand of samples here, and you can select any window size. You can select a window size of 200 and 300 even. So I selected the simplest possible window size to make you understand how window works. So I hope you understood this lecture. I hope you understood the concept of windowing method. I hope you understood how windows can be used to create the new feature from the additional feature. More thing to remember is that you can create any number of features. That is, you can also create the square root of the x, the square of the x, the cube of the x, or any power of x. So from the existing x here, you can create any number of features using this window method. So I created only 4 features, but you can also create even 400 features as well. So in order to apply window method, I use a for loop, and here for loop runs for the number of time which is equals to length of data minus the window size. And these are our new features. Now you can see that we have more than one feature, and it is a better form of a data set as compared to the original data set. So I hope you understood this project. Thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next lecture.